Hey, welcome to Danny's Deep Dives, where we geek out about films. We are in a new location. We're on YouTube. Hello, welcome, sit down. We are moving to a platform where I can actually yap in peace because I feel like I was being so rushed in short form. So today we're going to be talking about Mickey 17. Mickey 17 is directed by Bong Joon Ho. If that name sounds familiar, that's because he is the brilliant mind behind Parasite. Parasite was loved by people. I mean, that movie is definitely one of my favorites. It was beautifully executed. He is very good at tackling really difficult and intricate subjects such as capitalism. That's one of his very consistent subjects across the board of his films. I love that about his work. And he did that exact same thing in Mickey 17. People, myself included, when I first saw Mickey 17, I just thought, wow, that was a weird sci-fi movie. No, it was not a weird sci-fi movie. I mean, yeah, it kind of was, but it had so much depth because it talked about a lot of different subjects. Capitalism is a theme in this movie, like a lot of Bong's movies are, but this movie also talked about the value of human life. It talked about class struggle in a way as well, like it did in Parasite. It talked about corporate exploitation, and it also talked about religion. And probably one of my favorite subjects was the philosophical aspect of cloning. I literally just talked about cloning in my deep dive of They Cloned Tyrone back on my TikTok page. And that subject alone I could talk about for hours. I mean, just the idea of cloning is so crazy to me, and there's so many things to dive into when it comes to cloning. But cloning paired with cognitive dissonance in this movie was a brilliant move. Brilliant move. I know cognitive dissonance gets thrown around a lot on the internet, and it's kind of becoming a fad word, which I kind of hate because it's an actual real thing. I've experienced this. I'm still experiencing this myself because I'm currently going through a lot of deconstruction in my life of ideas that I no longer align with, and this movie came to me in the most perfect time. I saw this back in February, I believe it came out, of this year 2025, but we're now in December and I'm still thinking about it. I mean, the impact is crazy. Cognitive dissonance gets over-explained and overcomplicated on the internet. All it really is the conflicting thing that happens when you have two ideas that are contradictive. Because our brains are not used to having contradicting thoughts. We want things to be, leveled and consistent across the board. For example, if you are a smoker, like I am, I have been through cognitive dissonance before because I liked smoking, right? But I also knew that smoking was bad. We all know this, right? It's a fact. Smoking is not healthy for you. But you continue to do so because you convince yourself that it's not that bad, or you just like it, or that it's worth it, or, all these other things that overpower the thought that is contradictive, which is that smoking is bad. That's just a small example of what cognitive dissonance can look like, but it can look like this in many different ways when it comes to religion, when it comes to patriotism, when it comes to even sense of self and grandiosity. It's a very interesting subject. Again, if you want to look into that, you definitely should. It's very, very interesting stuff. In this movie, it was used in a brilliant manner, but let me set the scene for you. This movie takes place in almost a post-apocalyptic world where Earth is dying because of environmental things that are happening. We have dust storms that are happening. People are trying to basically leave Earth. They would much rather just leave than fix it, which is already a problem in cognitive dissonance, right? Because people are aware that the right thing to do is to fix the planet. Environmental things can change the way that the planet is and make it better, but people choose to leave the planet instead. So that already has two conflicting ideas right there implanted right in front of us without even us recognizing it. People are wanting to leave Earth. There's a spaceship mission that gets brought up. This spaceship mission has the intent to take people from Earth and start a new life in another planet. And the expedition is to lead people to a snow ice planet called Niflheim. The face of this expedition is a politician named Kenneth Marshall. Kenneth Marshall is played by Mark Ruffalo. He did such a great job at embodying the most annoying character of all time. I had such a hard time listening to this man. Every time he would talk, it was just trash. This character, Kenneth Marshall, is a politician who lost not one, but two elections. He has fanatical supporters who wear red hats and red attire, and when interviewed, they like fangirl and they're like, I'm the one and only. One and only is their motto. It's printed on the hats, it's printed on the shirts. When I was watching this in theaters, I was giggling, damn near falling off of my seat looking at these people. Now, Bong has addressed the rumors that he made this politician in the image of a little somebody in our real life, but he says that he didn't create Kenneth Marshall in the image of any specific politician, but more of a collective image of dictators throughout our history. Now, that is a real statement that he made, but if the hat fits, Kenneth Marshall is the one leading this expedition, and obviously people are all for this mission to start life in this new planet. Everybody has a different reason to leave Earth, whether they're escaping people, whether they're escaping money problems. Mickey Barnes is introduced, and he is leaving Earth because he's evading a loan shark after starting a failed business and owing back this loan shark named Darius Blank. Darius Blank is scary as fuck. This man does not fuck around about his money. If you do not pay Darius Blank back, you will be torn limb to limb with a chainsaw, and it will be videotaped for his enjoyment. Okay, and no, it's not a metaphor, it's like literal. Like, they found Mickey and his business partner and they actually dismembered somebody in front of them, and obviously this gave Mickey and his business partner PTSD because nobody wants to be torn from limb to limb with a chainsaw. Right, so Mickey still had some time to pay this loan shark back, so during that time he decides to apply to get the hell out of Earth. Right, he's there. It's this building that's like super dystopian to see, to be honest, because there's a dust storm happening right outside and people are just like calm listening to this like voiceover that's playing in the building about the mission and saying remain calm, everything's gonna be fine as soon as you get on the spaceship, creating a narrative already onto these people. I call it brainwashing, but for the sake of this video, we'll call it narrative. He turns in his application and he says to the audience, well, I really don't have any skills, so all I can really do is be an expendable. What is an expendable? An expendable basically is a clone. It's somebody who offers their body to be printed over and over and over again to complete tasks or missions or experiments for the sake of science, for the sake of the betterment of the human race in space. He didn't know the extent of the work. He didn't really have the intention to look through the application to see what the job was, and one of the employees was actually like, are you crazy, like are you sure you want to sign up for this? And he says yeah. He's hearing chainsaw noises in the back of his mind. I mean, this man is paranoid. He needs to get out. We also learned that his business partner also got a spot on the ship as a flitter pilot, so okay. And Mickey basically gets hazed into the program. That scene was like a really hard watch. There's this lady that let him back, showed him, the human printer, showed him around the spaceship. Then she tells him to go change, and they start doing a biometric scan of his body to print his body just as is every single time, because they have to extract his memories in order to implant them back in once he's reprinted. That way he has his characteristics and his memories and all of that to still be himself, quote unquote. These memories and traits are stored into this thing called a brick, quite literally a brick. And I guess during this initial process, it brought up a lot of memories that Mickey might have suppressed. And one of these memories consisted of him going on a car ride with his mom when he was 5, and he pushed a red button that, to his understanding, caused the car to crash. His mom passed away. So the entire reason that his mom passed away was because he pushed that red button in his mind, right? This brought up that memory that was clearly very important and traumatizing to him, and he was just having a full-on breakdown. I mean, you're remembering this like very triggering thing. This lady comes back in, barges in on him, breaking down, and hands him a gun and says, hey, put this to your head and shoot yourself. Okay. She then explains, this is the last requirement for you to prove yourself that you're willing to do whatever it takes for this mission to be an expendable. I guess they don't do pinky promises or like blood brothers. I don't know, that would have been a little bit more humane. I don't know. She ends up doing it herself, but it's a blank. She pulls a blank on this man while he's having a full panic attack. So that just like really sets the tone of like, okay, we have like no regard for human life. He goes on to show us, the types of experiments that he goes through. There's one experiment in particular at the beginning where, he's outside of a spacecraft trying to put this like cord into a panel. And once he opens the panel, he notices that the cord is already there. He checks back with, the tech team. The tech team is like, hey, yeah, so actually we already knew the cord was there. We just sent you out on purpose. But let me get medical to explain this to you. Medical comes on, says, hey, Mickey, yeah, so this is actually an experiment on you. We want to expose you purposely to high levels of radiation just to see what happens to your body. I need you to remain calm as your skin is burning. You get a nice nice fever. Yes, they used nice fever. And I want you to tell me in detail everything that you're feeling for science. Okay, it tells you how dystopian this entire thing is. It's like so hard to watch. They tell him to take off his glove in that same mission, and he takes off his glove. Something flies from outer space and severs his hand. So he's just like staring at his arm like, okay, I'm just gonna wait to die. We cut to him getting reprinted. He comes out of the printer, looks at his hand, and he looks at it with such sadness, which just lets me know that there is somebody still in there, even though he's been reprinted. It's not like it's just like a robot getting printed over and over again, and it's like, okay, what's my next task? It's like, that's a human being, right? Mind you, immediately after he gets up from this printer, he's injected with something. The scientist is injecting something into his arm, and another scientist comes up behind him. Her name is Dorothy, we learn. She hands him a cup of water and says, hey, you're gonna start to feel really thirsty, so make sure that you're drinking water. She notices that the scientist injecting something into Mickey is doing a little too much, and she goes, hey, that's like too much of a high dose. And the scientist interrupts Dorothy, says, girl, it's fine. It literally doesn't matter, he's gonna die in 10 minutes. Oh, okay. He says, I want you to focus on taking the blood samples. That's what our priority is. Like, who cares how he feels, right? Be ready because he's gonna start bleeding from his eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and rectum. Oh, okay. Okay. At this point, it's been 4.5 years since Mickey has been an expendable. We get a look into what his daily life looks like. In one instance, we're in the cafeteria seeing how they eat food. The trays of food that they serve them are absolutely disgusting. Just piles of mush, like gray too, like the color is just disgusting. It makes me want to yak. In one instance where Mickey is getting served food, this alarm goes off and it says there's 7 calories over your limit. This tells us just how closely these people are controlled, because it's not just Mickey, it's like literally everybody that's eating food from the cafeteria. You're not allowed to eat over a certain amount of calories. That is like step 1 of dictatorship right there. Just saying. He sits down, he's telling us how like the cafeteria is so quiet and like nobody's talking, and then Kenneth Marshall comes in with his wife Yilfa. And they, you know, start getting a standing ovation. Not everybody's a fan. There's some people that are still sitting down, Mickey included. He looks into the crowd, he sees this other girl that's also sitting down. Her name is Nasha. Nasha says, come here. Me when I see Robert Pattinson. She invites him over, he sits down, she gives him a piece of her food, and obviously this is like the way to his heart. And then we're shown that they obviously go into a relationship, at least I assume it's a relationship, because it cuts to a scene of them having sex, which is fitting. There's context to this, because Kenneth Marshall in that cafeteria scene starts giving a speech about how calories are so important that he is going to ban intercourse on the spaceship until they get to the planet, because it just wastes too many calories and we need to conserve as many calories as possible. Obviously, Mickey and Nasha said, we're gonna crack, we don't care. But he says, guys, I know this sucks right now, but don't worry, once we get on the planet, we are going to launch the biggest, the best sex encouragement campaign to ever exist. We will infect the land, he says. Oh my god, if that is not colonialism to its peak. And we're piecing together that this guy is like just not good in the head, and he obviously has an agenda. And Mickey has always kind of not really agreed, but is still compliant because he is part of the mission. And we also get a look into like how special Nasha is to Mickey. They're soulmates. They, you know, giggle over like sex positions and they have like a really healthy relationship. Nasha defends Mickey. Mickey takes care of Nasha. In one instance, you know, they end up getting in trouble because some people were picking on Mickey for dying, because he dies and people think that's funny. Okay, so Nasha defends Mickey, and we can see how when people do things that are, you know, out of order or wrong in the eyes of the, you know, Spaceship Corporation, they get punished. And the way that they get punished, mind you, these people are living in like tiny little cells already, but they're put in even tinier cells, like almost like bars and jail-like cages when they get in trouble, and they get their food rations cut to half. So we can see that they weaponize a lot of their food and weaponize a lot of like their living conditions in order to set them straight. Like I said at the beginning of this video, cognitive dissonance really does tie into this, because the conditions are bad. The food is bad, the living conditions are bad. Everything is just bad. The leader is like dumb. Like he's not smart at all. His wife is not either. So it's like, why are people still doing this? Well, it's because of the cognitive dissonance that they are told to believe in the mission. It always comes back to, guys, it doesn't matter that you're eating bad food. It doesn't matter that you're living in these like really shitty conditions. All that matters is the mission. Keep your eyes on the prize sort of mentality. This is why people are compliant and submissive to this idea of, the greater good. And that is like the oldest tactic in the book of like literally like brainwashing and manipulation. Manipulation is a huge part of this expedition. So after 4 years, they finally arrive to the planet of Niflheim. And they of course send Mickey out first to test the air. They literally tell him, breathe in the air as if there was a virus. Let it fill all of your alveoli. Yeah, it turns out there was a virus in the air. So Mickey gets ill. Like, this poor man is throwing up blood and he's not well. He's very unwell. Eventually, after various Mickeys, 16 Mickeys to be exact, they finally find a cure for this virus that's in the air. They come up with a vaccine. They inject all of the passengers. They're now able to roam the planet and explore what's out there. They send out a team of 4 people, which is Mickey, a character that's introduced that's called Kai, this dude that's really annoying. I don't even know if they ever say his name. If they did, it completely went over my head because I just don't like him. And the 4th person was a girl named Jennifer who was best friends with Kai. So they eventually get to this ice cave. They're exploring this ice cave and there's a sound coming from this like crevice in the ice cave. And Kai goes to go see what's in there and a little alien baby pops out. The alien baby we have seen before. At the beginning of the film, it actually started with Mickey being in an ice cave after falling in, and he is left there by Timo, and he decides to save the weapon instead of saving Mickey because his rope is too small to go and he doesn't want to take the risk, and he's like, well, you're gonna die anyway, so we can just see like how Mickey's treated in this expedition. He leaves Mickey and we get a glimpse of the aliens in that first scene, and they kind of set up the scene for us to believe that these aliens were going to consume Mickey, but we really don't know because the screen goes blank, so we don't know if Mickey got reprinted or what happened, right? So now we're back to where Kai was discovering this alien baby. The alien baby, runs up to Kai, I assume to say hello. I mean, I don't know. Obviously, as people do that have guns and react, they start shooting at the baby. They decide to run out. They're like, let's just get out. I don't know what that is. I don't want to touch it, whatever. Jennifer stays behind, which is the other woman that's in this group, and she sees that there's this alien baby on the roof of the cave, shoots it. I guess there's no like safety courses because the ice falls and cracks the ice below Jennifer and Jennifer dies. And now we cut to the scene where they're back onto the spaceship. Kenneth Marshall is livid because a human life has been lost. And Mickey was supposed to be the one to sacrifice himself because he could just be reprinted and like he should have sacrificed himself in the name of science and not Jennifer. And now Kenneth Marshall paints these alien babies as being dangerous for humankind. It automatically sets the tone for these little things that they haven't even began to try to understand. They punish Mickey. They make him work 14 hours a day, 7 days a week down in the planet until he finds one of these alien babies, and they actually ended up naming them creepers because they look creepy. He has to go find a creeper and bring back a sample. That is what he's there for. He is eating lunch one day. He falls into the cave, and this is actually where the movie began. So we kind of get this full circle moment right here. So this technically is where the story begins in like present time and like the live timeline of us watching this movie, which was a really cool concept. I love that they did that because I was like, wait a minute, this is the beginning of the story. This is Mickey 17 that's down in this cave at the beginning of the movie. So Mickey falls into this ice cave. Timo comes and tries to rescue him, leaves him. Mickey accepts his death and he sees these aliens coming towards him. He's like, okay, I'm just gonna be food. It's fine, it's fine. It cuts to the scene of the alien hovering over Mickey. It goes blank. To our surprise, the scene comes back up. Mickey is being dragged by this alien. He is still alive. So Mickey's like, okay, she's probably taking me somewhere. Oh, I'm gonna be food for her babies because we see all these babies get on top of Mickey and we can assume that they're about to eat him, right? And to his surprise, they don't. And what they end up doing is so unexpected. They all get together collectively. I mean, there's tons of these little baby aliens. They all push him out of the cave, rescue him essentially, right? But he doesn't see it that way. He's like, why don't you want to eat me? Like, I'm still good meat, even though I'm reprinted. Like, it's not clocking to him, like what just happened. Aliens are like, okay, dude. They leave. And now he's back up onto the surface of the ice. He is trying to find somebody to rescue him and take him back to the spaceship. He sees this cart that's traveling through the planet and he grabs a ride without them knowing. He makes it back to the spaceship. He goes back to his dorm. To his surprise, they've already reprinted him. So this is Mickey 18 now, but Mickey 17 is still alive. So this introduces the theme of doppelgangers. And if we know anything about film and television, is that we know that doppelgangers are an omen of death. If there's another version of you, the version of your original self, yourself is kind of useless and dead in a sense. If you're viewing yourself from an outside perspective, that means that something is disconnected there now, right? Like if you were to see yourself with your partner, that's not you anymore. You know what I mean? And there's this struggle between Mickey 18 and Mickey 17 to who should survive and who has the right to survive, because there's an original, but there's a new version that has just been alive for the past 2 hours. Like there's this like conflicting struggle. Mickey 18 ends up hitting Mickey 17 over the head, and he wants to basically dispose of him. So he's wheeling him to the disposal. They struggle again, and they're interrupted by Timo. Timo happens to sell Oxy in this spot. Oh, Timo, the businessman you are. They get interrupted, and now Mickey 18 is definitely a more aggressive and more like livid version of Mickey 17. So he wants to kill Timo because he's like, why do we keep him as a friend? He's a shitty friend. Naturally, he wants to kill him. Now there's a struggle between Timo and Mickey 18, pushing each other down the disposal. It's a really funny scene where Mickey 17 comes and tries to save Timo, and Timo's like, what are you doing? You're trying to kill me, but also save me. It's like brilliant scene. They get interrupted yet again by Nasha, and I forgot his name, but he's some sort of supervisor over like the legalities of the cloning there. So we get interrupted by these two people yet again. Mickey 17 is hiding in the background. Mickey 18 now goes away with Nasha. Mickey 17 is automatically enraged and jealous because he's like, hey, that's my girl. Like, what? He goes after them, but yet again there is another interruption by this gigantic pigeon. Yes, it's not actually a pigeon, it's a man in a pigeon costume. We learn that Mickey has won a dinner with Kenneth Marshall and Yilfa. Oh my god. Really? Yeah, there's actual like food there. So Mickey's like, okay, I guess I'll go. Mind you, the food still looks disgusting to me. It's like maybe 1% better looking than what he was being served, but that's just my opinion. You obviously see that Kenneth Marshall and his wife are living this lavish lifestyle while everybody else is living this like gray and depressing lifestyle. There's like a chandelier, there's an entire dining room table with like all this food, there's Persian rugs under them, there's all of this like fancy decor, so they're living the life. And Mickey's eating this food. They invite Kai over as a special guest, and he explains in this moment what his true colors are without even like realizing it. He tells Kai, we love your jeans. No, Kai is not Sydney Sweeney. He says, we love your pure genes, and we want to use those genes to populate the planet once we start this like a sex positive program to spread the seed. We get the most overlooked part of Kenneth, because I didn't catch this when I first saw the movie. He says, and I quote, I'm reading this directly from the movie notes that I took, Earth is beyond saving with all of its muddy people. Okay, but you're special, Kai, and I'm creating a world on a pure white planet full of superior people like you, like me, like us. Literally just admitting that his vision for this colony is racist. Whoever the writer was for that part of the script is brilliant, because it puts in a wordplay of like, did he mean like white as in skin color, or did he mean white as in like the planet because it's snow, like it's icy, it's an ice white planet, right? They say a prayer for Jennifer, who has just passed away, and Kai is leading this prayer and she gets choked up, so Kenneth Marshall finishes for her, which ends in song. As soon as the song ends, Mickey yaks all over the place. Turns out that there was this hormone in the food that he was eating that was still experimental, underdeveloped, and it made Mickey have a reaction. Mickey is like literally flailing on the floor, hives all over his neck. Like, this was such a hard scene to watch. He was in pain, like screaming. It was like, it was a lot. Everybody's, hovering over him, and scientists barge in. They inject him with a painkiller that doesn't work, and he's still in pain. Kenneth Marshall grabs a gun and puts it to Mickey's head, and Kenneth says, I'm just gonna put this man out of his misery. And his wife says, no, what are you doing? And we're like, oh, she is human. What are you doing? Not on my Persian rug. Bitch, what? She was worried about those damn Persian rugs. And he's like, I'll just shoot him from a different angle, okay? Then Kai's like, what are you doing? You're gonna kill it, like, don't kill him. So again, Kai is breaking out of this like mentality of just do it because he's experimental and whatever. You can see in that moment, like, she's concerned for him as a human being, and Kenneth Marshall goes in and manipulates her back into the mission, right? He goes, hey, pipe down. Okay, everything's gonna be fine. This is for the mission. Like, keep your eyes on the mission. So she's like, okay, right, yeah, the mission. Mickey is now aware that he's literally going to be shot to death, so he just pretends to be okay, and Kai takes him to her room, tries to make him feel better by making him some tea and trying to kiss him. Girl, oh, okay, everybody has an agenda. Naturally, Mickey runs away. Men and partners take notes. He finds Nasha and Mickey 18 in their dorm, and they've canoodled. She's like super giggly, he's super giggly and chilled out because they've been doing oxy. Okay. Nasha is super chill about having 2 boyfriends now. They're having this like moment, all 3 of them. Don't know if I can say what exactly they were doing. You get the idea. Kai runs in because, remember, she was trying to kiss Mickey and she was, I guess, trying to catch up to him. She sees that there's a multiples violation, and oh, what is the multiples violation? The multiples violation is something that was implemented in this spaceship because back on Earth, as humans usually do, ruin all good things that happen. We can't really just like use something for the function that it is. We always have to use it for some sort of malice. A man back on Earth who was actually a part of the group that invented human printing, he ended up being a psychopath and ended up multiplying himself 2 times for a total of 3 copies to commit crimes such as murder and theft. They ended up catching them all, and authorities and philosophers were kind of stuck on how to go about solving this crime, because now that they have them all in custody, they're saying, well, do we charge one person for this crime and like divide the sentencing, or do we charge them as individuals? Do we charge them as accomplices? Do we charge them as a person dictating the entire thing? I mean, what are the ethics, and what are we supposed to do? Without going too much into a tangent, I forget if it's in the Mickey 17 book or if it was from the original story of Mickey 7. Is it Mickey 7 or is it 7? I forget. But there's a book about this entire movie. The Ship of Theseus gets brought up. If you don't know, the Ship of Theseus is a thought experiment about personality and identity. And I'm going to read this directly from the internet just to not confuse you. The Ship of Theseus is a thought experiment questioning identity. If a ship has all its parts replaced over time, is it still the same ship? It explores whether an object remains the same entity despite material changes, famously asking if a ship continuously repaired with new planks until none of the original remain, is it still the Ship of Theseus? And we can see this in like humans in cell replacement. Like, if your cells are constantly regenerating, are you still the same human or are you a new person? You know what I mean? It's like the same concept. This paradox involves layers of identity, including physical components, form, and continuity, with no single definitive answer, engaging philosophers for centuries. And that ties into this specific scenario where they're not really sure like how to identify these clones as, right? This is why it's a violation on the spaceship. Kai, being the little narc that she is, she goes and runs and tries to report this. Nasha runs after her. They come up to an agreement that they're going to share the Mickeys. No comment on that. Meanwhile, Mickey 18 and Mickey 17 are talking back in their dorm, and they're looking at Kenneth Marshall's late night show, which is just like a gag show, essentially. We can really see the anger in Mickey 18 at this point. Like, he is not okay with being tested on. He is not okay with Kenneth Marshall. He is not okay with the organization or anything that they represent. Like, he's just like, why are people doing this? Somebody put a stop to him. Nasha's gun is still in the dorm because she was just there. Mickey 18 says, I'm gonna go kill him. Grabs Nasha's gun. He runs out. Mickey 17 runs out after him. They pass the stairwell where Nasha and Kai are talking. So Nasha and Kai are also running after Mickey 18. They barge into this late night show that's airing live at the moment. This is where they pulled a Simpsons level prediction, because this movie portrayed every single component almost to a scary level. Like, Mickey 18 is in the crowd ready to shoot Kenneth Marshall. In that moment, a little baby alien comes out of the rock. Kenneth Marshall tries to stomp on it. Everything is chaos. People are running out. People are trying to come in to protect Kenneth Marshall. They're trying to suit up. There's people trying to get to Mickey. There's people trying to get to the alien. One of Kenneth's people pointing the camera at him to record the entire thing conveniently. This poor baby alien running everywhere. We have the scientists trying to also capture the alien. Like, there's so much going on. And then finally, Mickey 18 gets a hold of the gun and shoots at Kenneth Marshall. It misses him, grazes his cheek. The theatrics of this scene, they're just so similar, okay? And I will leave it at that. They ended up, unfortunately, killing one of the babies. Two baby aliens were in the rock, actually. Another one of the babies they captured for science to test on. So they realized that there's multiples and that Nasha's involved now. They put them in these, punishment cells. And Mickey 17 starts to talk to Nasha, and he's like, well, those baby aliens are so weird. Like, they pushed me out. They didn't even want to eat me. Like, they're so strange. And Nasha's like, are you saying they tried to save you? hello? She's like, well, we have to report this because they're trying to kill that baby alien, right? So if they're not dangerous, then this is wrong to do. And of course, Timo has to make an appearance because this dude is like the pro of interrupting a scene. This dude now is being blackmailed by the loan shark to kill somebody and film it, or else he's gonna get filmed being chopped into pieces. So naturally he chooses his friend as the shitty friend that he is, and he wants to get Mickey on film being chainsawed off. But Nasha and Mickey 18, being the wonderful little unit that they are, they come up with a plan to trick Timo, and they actually like grab his gun, they grab his keys, and Nasha is basically like about to kill Timo with his own chainsaw. That just shows us just like how much she does not fuck around about Mickey. Like, she is the most loyal partner. She is so passionate about him. Like, a little moment of appreciation for Nasha. I love her. They make their way to the scientists. They're trying to explain to them they're not dangerous. Like, this is what happened. They rescued Mickey. While they're walking with the scientists over this like glass bridge, they see that there's all of these like aliens surrounding the ship, and they're like running in circles, and they're like, what is going on? And they're like, yeah, they've been doing this since we captured the baby. The baby's crying, and you know, they're letting out these screeches. It's so weird. Yeah, you have their baby. The alien mom also doesn't fuck around about her children. Like, I think this is like the very first time where I can see that Dorothy is like truly breaking out of this cycle of just believing everything that she's being told, because she's like, well, they communicate. Like, they let out these little screeches and they're trying to say something to us. And she's talking about how they're developing this translator to try and communicate with them further. But we cut to the scene where Mickey 17, Mickey 18, and Nasha are in front of Kenneth Marshall and his wife Yilfa, and pretty much everybody in the higher up positions. Nobody's gonna believe them. We're trying to tell them, hey, these aliens are not actually dangerous. Kenneth Marshall doesn't want to hear it. This is where Dorothy steps up. She says, well, actually, they are showing signs of high intelligence, and it looks like they're trying to communicate. I think you should try to communicate with them to try and come up with a solution, because we don't know what these aliens outside are about to do. I mean, they're penetrating through ice and concrete. Like, they're very strong. We don't know what they're going to do. Kenneth Marshall obviously dismisses her. Everybody dismisses my girl Dorothy. He doesn't want to hear it, and in fact, he mocks her as men with fragile egos do. And this alien spits at him, and this sets him off. He's like, I just don't understand. You know, it doesn't make sense to want to understand these squawks that these aliens give out. And this is where we get the most valid and satisfying crash out from Nasha. She tells him what we were all thinking. She says, you're dumb, you don't make sense, you're an idiot, they're not the aliens, we are. We came into their planet, they were living their lives until now, until we came to their planet and fuck shit up, basically. And she's like, yeah, no wonder you blew the elections. Ooh. Nasha, you hit a nerve, girl, because this man crashes out, grabs the baby alien, puts a hook through it. I did not like that either. These poor baby aliens. Puts it on a hook, puts it on a rope, says, open your mouth, Nasha, and then bite. She goes, what? Releases the rope. Nasha has to bite onto the rope to keep the baby from falling into the disposal. They move on to talk about how they're going to deal with the aliens outside of the spaceship, and they're like, well, let's just gas them, whatever, who cares? But why not make a spectacle of it? Why not make this into this dramatized thing for your glory? This is the narrative that's being pushed by one of Marshall's like PR people. He looks oddly familiar as well. So he says, why not go out there and let's film you going up to the big alien mom, and you gas the baby aliens and make this into like this big like message to people that you're the man, you're the man. And so he's like, oh my god, you're right, people would love me for that, and I would look so good on camera, like, yeah, let's do that. Then the wife is like, actually, let's make this more fun. And they make it into a survival game between the Mickeys. They make this arm cuff device that has two buttons. One says 18, one says 17. They make it into a game to send the Mickeys down and cut as many alien tails as possible to make this sauce that she's fucking obsessed with. I don't know what the obsession is. Frankly, I don't care. Whoever cuts off as many tails as possible is the one that survives, and the one that doesn't survive, they press the button of the one that loses and he explodes. These people are psychotic. The Mickeys go down, and 17 brings up deserving punishment. This comes up a lot during the film. He talks about how he thinks he deserves to be treated a certain way. At the beginning, when he was doing that first mission, when he was outside of the spacecraft trying to put that cord into the box, he says, I did a dissection on a frog in the 4th grade, and this is my punishment for it. Like, I'm convinced this is like a punishment. There's a lot of ways to interpret that, but that to me related back to religion and the guilt that's like bashed into your head that you're deserving of punishment and you should be lucky that somebody wants to save you, sort of thing. Yeah. It comes up again whenever he remembers that memory of his mom, and he feels guilty for pressing the red button and essentially killing her. Like, he feels responsible for that. And it comes up again in this scene. He's talking to Mickey 18, and Mickey 18 is like, dude, are you talking about your mom? And he's like, yeah, Yeah, like I pushed the red button and I killed my mother. And Mickey 18 goes, dude, you know why your mom died. Like, it was a car malfunction. It wasn't you. We get this like beautiful poetic moment where Mickey saves himself. Mickey is looking at himself and grounding himself and telling him, hey, like, it's not your fault. Like, you realize this, right? I love the poetic aspect of that, of you always have it within you to heal, and we got it right there in like this sci-fi way. I love it. Well, obviously the Mickeys have no intentions of hurting these poor baby aliens. They have a plan to go up to the mom to talk to her to try and figure out, you know, a solution or an explanation to all of this, because he also doesn't understand why he was saved. And Dorothy actually ends up giving Mickey 17 a translator so he can actually not only communicate but also understand what they're saying. We get this really heartbreaking scene of the mom communicating with Mickey, and she's saying, I saved you and you killed Luco. Luco was the baby that got shot on the stage with Kenneth Marshall. That scene broke my heart because it was like the saddest tone I've ever heard. And now they also have Zoko, which is the baby that's captured, that's still alive, that's hanging on the rope by the grace of Nasha's teeth. They're there to get baby Zoko and for revenge for baby Luco. She basically says, give me my baby back. Okay, Mickey says, cool, if we can, then what happens? And she basically says, well, your eyes are gonna explode and your brain will explode and, well, human extinction. So give me my baby back, right? So Mickey's like, cool, I got it. I'm gonna go, I'll get your baby back. This is all being filmed, by the way. Like, they're watching the Mickeys do this Hunger Games type shit. Mickey goes up to the camera and he is trying to get Nasha's attention because everybody's watching this back on the spaceship. He's saying C3, C3. Everybody's like, what the fuck is C3? Like, what is he trying to say? And Nasha's like, C3? C3 is a sex position that's called bring the baby. I thought it was so clever to like make it a full circle moment and actually make it like a key element in the saving of this baby. It's so fantastic. So Nasha's like, cool, clocked it, grabs the baby in this like really cool action scene where she chokes Yilfa, which finally, you know, she ends up grabbing the baby, brings it to Mickey. Meanwhile, Mickey 18 is like, somebody has to stop Kenneth, because Kenneth, mind you, is making his way to the mom. The aliens are so smart and camouflaging the mom, making like different piles so that they don't know which one is the mom. And Mickey 18 is like, somebody has to put this bitch down, like a Maddie Perez moment, you know what I mean? Mickey makes his way to Kenneth and tries to deal with him before he gets to the mom. Mickey ends up giving the baby back to the mom. Everything is good. The mom is like, I'm not happy because I'm still missing one. So you should be missing one because that's what's fair, an eye for an eye. So they're like, oh shit, okay. We get this moment that was very unexpected because you would think that Mickey 18 is gonna do everything in his power to survive because he was fighting for his life at the beginning of the movie. But now Mickey has sacrificed himself. Mickey 18 is now fighting Kenneth Marshall. Kenneth Marshall is like realizing his destiny. Kenneth Marshall realizes that Mickey 18 is about to blow both of them up because the plan is to press 18's button to blow him up with Marshall, which is like the most plot twist moment ever. I did not expect that at all. There's like this moment of hesitation and Kenneth Marshall and Mickey are both like sharing this fear of dying. And even Kenneth Marshall says that he's like, you're scared too. I know that you're scared too. That theme gets brought up a lot, which goes hand in hand with like cognitive dissonance because their fear of mortality is very real, and that is what's driving this entire thing because people don't want to die. People are trying to survive. That is the motive behind everything that Kenneth Marshall is telling these people to do. So in that moment, he blows both of them up, he saves the day, and we get this like beautiful scene of him like saving everybody. The ending I wasn't like a big fan of. You know, they ended up still remaining on the planet, but with like new authority. Nasha becomes like the head person. They ended up getting rid of the printer. Mickey's like having a nightmare about the printer not being blown up and the operation still continuing, and Kenneth Marshall getting reprinted, which was like a cool concept. I just feel like it wasn't really like necessary to put in there. That's just my opinion. There was probably a reason for it. It might have been part of the book as well, so that's probably why they had to include it. Nevertheless, everything else was beautifully executed, and I thought this was a really great film. I think Bong did an amazing job to tackle yet again such hard topics in a way that people wouldn't even catch. Like, and that's how you know that you did your job right, because it's so seamless. My rating for this movie is 4 stars. I think this is the first movie that I rated 4 and not 5. That's not to say that it sucks in any way. 4 still means that it's a good watch and it's still a good movie. It's just not like a perfect movie in my eyes. My opinion doesn't hold that much power. Like, it's it's whatever. But 4 in my book is still a really good movie. There's just like some elements that I didn't quite understand or felt that were unnecessary. If you want to geek out together again, I will be tackling The Black Phone next week. Bye.